What is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Adam Stark, with the Honolulu Blues Show. And we are back. We got another great episode for you. Finally get to recap this season, talk about what's been done, get some grades, talk about some news. We got a lot going on. But first things first, boys, how have you been? It's been a couple weeks. Julius, I know you were out there partying with some Chicago boys. So how was that, man?
It was fun. Yeah. I had my pod mates from Against the Standard, Juan and Wyatt, come and visit me down here in Texas over the weekend. And yeah, man, we went to San Antonio, explored around. It was a great time, man. And yes, I'm still recovering.
Good to hear, man. Good to hear. Nick, I assume just been kicking back, enjoying this freezing cold weather.
Yeah, most definitely. Real quick, it does seem like Juan can put down some alcohol. Seems like he would be the one to get the party tipsy.
We were in San Antonio on a Saturday night, and San Antonio is a lively Hispanic town. And Juan he's never been in Texas before. He'd never been in the South anywhere in such a brown place, and the culture that was surrounded. He just blended right in, bro. And we all just had a blast. Riverwalk downtown San Antonio. And yes, he can. I mean, Juan, he could hold a drink down better than I can, it seems.
That's great. That's great.
He seems like the man who can hold the drink down.
Yeah, Juan is a good buddy from
fun, and it was a blast having those guys here.
Yeah, in case anyone listening don't know, Juan, good buddy
for everyone listening.
Sadly a Bears fan, but yeah, he's a good buddy. Julius said kind of all of ours. And ironically, he is a frequent listener. He pops in time to time. He just can't get enough of the Detroit Lions. Don't blame him.
Keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. You know
exactly. Shout out, Mom. Thanks for joining as always. Let's dive into some news, though. We had some good news this week, and it was pretty unexpected. And it was Calvin Johnson was sitting in the bleachers of Lions Stadium, posted a message saying, I've never seen a view from this angle. Maybe I'll have to get season tickets next year. So, boys, is this the final box check? Is Calvin back in good graces, or is this kind of just a little tease of like, yeah, it's getting there?
I hope that Calvin Johnson is back, and this is very hopeful because he never really did nothing like this. Showed off himself in Ford Field. He's giving us a hint like things are getting better. Calvin Johnson ain't playing those stupid little games with us on social media. You can kind of see it for yourself, and it gives you optimism as a Lions fan that Calvin Johnson and the Lions can be together in life as they were meant to be.
Exactly. And this is what we've been pushing for, like all off season, we were just like, just pay him however much. What was it, Adam? It was like $1 million, right? It was like ultimately that's what it ended up.
It was a lot of money.
But there was like stipulations where like you couldn't. But we had said multiple times on our podcast like you can pay that $1 million somehow. Like don't try to tell me that you have to go buy the books. Like get out of here. So it seems like. Maybe we did, and maybe we are now. The fences have been mended, and we are like moving forward. Next thing we're gonna know, we're gonna start seeing like Calvin Johnson, like dispensary commercials on Lions games and stuff, and it's gonna be very interesting. But it's good to see him back in. We love him. He's not in the Ring of Honor yet, is he? Or is he?
Do the Lions even have a Ring of Honor?
Yeah, we got numbers.
Yeah, I don't think Calvin is in it yet.
Calvin was just inducted, but
I don't think Calvin's in yet either. So this is a good thing.
He's going to be a first ballot Ring of Honor inductee whenever it's his time.
He was a first ballot Hall of Famer, but it took him a couple tries to get in the Lions. We had too many great players. I don't know if we can put him in yet.
I guess he's our fifth ballot. Oh well, at least he makes it.
Hopefully he makes it. The real question is,
moving on. We had some other cryptic Instagram post, and this one was Alex Anzalone, not looking promising. He tweeted out, I'll just read it real quick for you guys. He said, "It was a privilege to play for the Lions organization this year. I truly had one of the most fun seasons playing football in my life, despite everything. Being chosen as a captain by my peers has been an honor that I'll never forget. As Chapter 5 ends, 6 begins." So is this him saying his new chapter is with the Lions? Or is this him saying new chapter, sorry guys, I'm moving on?
I think it's the latter. I think he, especially it's like, I'm pretty sure it's a picture of him walking away, right?
Oh yeah,
so he's walking away. Dude, he was here for 1 year, voted captain. We moved on from Jarrad Davis to allow Anzalone to like be freed up and be more of himself. Like, we based our defense around him as our as our lead quarterback of our defense. And after 1 year, he gone. He's like, we are not going to be close to winning championships. I'm out of here, and it stinks. Next man up. But I loved Fabio, as I coined him on the show. Fabio was the man. When we'll get into a little bit more of him when we do our grade show next week, but like, without getting in depth, like, he really did glue our defense together on what could be a defense that, outperformed all expectations and didn't when Jarrad Davis was there, but we get rid of him, and Anzalone stepped up and just overdid it. He was awesome. I do hope the best for him. I hope he stays with Detroit, but I think he's gone.
You know what I will say? What good can come out of this is if Anzalone goes out and gets a nice 2-year, 3-year deal from a good team or whatever, that will show tons of other, players that want to come in on a prove-it deal for a 1-year deal. They'll know they'll get their shot. Maybe not so much in the next, 3-4 years, but at least for next year, some more players will get their shots. And they'll know, like, I could prove myself and then go get the bag next year if it's with the Lions or with another organization. So kind of like a recruiting aspect.
I mean, he was serviceable when he was on the field. He seems to have some injury history, just like he did in New Orleans. But I can't really tell from that post whether that means we're going to re-sign him or not. And chances are we probably won't, because we're moving in such a forward direction, youth-wise, rebuilding-wise. But it's always a small chance that we do. So I can't really tell. It's not like he said, "Goodbye, Detroit. See you next time. I'm not coming back."
He said, "Goodbye, Chapter 5. Hello, Chapter 6. Who's
to say the Lions aren't involved in Chapter 6 of Alex Anzalone?
I guess.
Who's to say they are? Who's to say they're not? So
that's true. He's only played for one NFL team, so he's only had one chapter in the NFL.
He's very young. I think he was going by the amount of years he'd been in the NFL. I'm pretty sure. And
okay.
And I mean, I don't know. I can't tell he's going to be back from that post. I just can't tell. It's very young in the off season. It's like baby off season right now, and everything is like speculation.
100%. A lot of speculation going on, and even some more or less with potentially head coach Aaron Glenn. But as of now, he's our defensive coordinator. Mr. Glenn got a few, I shouldn't even say a few. I think he only got a couple interviews, one with the Broncos. I think there was maybe one more, but I know the Broncos one, he left without a deal. And so far, I don't think he's going to get a deal this year. I don't think that the Lions were good enough to like make him a big coaching candidate. I think he was a good candidate, but obviously I think there's some better ones out there. But if Glenn keeps it up, so let's say Aaron Glenn has a same exact or better season than this year defensively. Do you think he's gone if the Lions go 7-10?
Aaron Glenn?
Yeah. Okay, let me rephrase. What do you think the Lions would have to do successfully for Aaron Glenn to be like, yeah, he's gone. He's going to get a head coaching gig?
Top 10 defense?
I'd even probably say more than that. And this is really sad to say, and this might be a little too deep for our podcast, but realistically, minority coaches don't get looked at. Like, they do not get hired. There's one in the NFL right now, and probably maybe going to be 2 or 3 at the end of this coaching cycle. It's ridiculous that Eric Bieniemy has been offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs for countless years, and has been extremely successful. However, there's other guys getting looked at. As Raheem Morris, who's the defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams right now, gets overlooked year after year, no matter, even with the recommendations of Sean McVay, Mike Tomlin, you name it. So honestly, the Lions would have to be a top 2 or 3 defense next year and win a playoff game or 2 for him to leave. Now, for him to get interviewed next year, because everyone's got to interview what's the rule? The Mitt Romney rule? That's not right. Whatever that rule is. Mitt Romney. I'm sorry. That's terrible. That could not be. Art Rooney rule. I can't remember what it is. Anyways. Because minorities have to be interviewed, he'll get interviews for the next 2 or 3 years, kind of regardless of what the defense does, as long as we're a top 15 defense like we were this year. The sad fact of the NFL is that he will not get a head coaching job unless we have a top 1 or 2 defense and win a playoff game. It's the only way. And I'm sorry to say that. That's a little deep, but
I mean, I respect that, Nick. I do. I respect that. I might not fully agree with the trajectory of it being race-based, but I will agree that it may have some form factor, as well as the league just moving in a more offensive direction overall. Everybody's trying to get these Sean McVays, these Cliff Kingsbury, even though he's on a hot seat now, these Matt LaFleurs, these young and more often than not kind of preppy young white dudes. So I don't know if it is a trend. So I will respect that notion of it, but I think you're right. We have to have a good D, like a defense, a playoff defense. I mean, 7-10, he still need a top 5 defense to get like consideration for defensive head coach.
Yeah. Go ahead, Adam. Go ahead. I was just going to say Vic Fangio, defensive coordinators, they're all going out. No one wants defensive coordinators. You're 100% right, Julius. 100% right.
Yeah, Matt Patricia too. Another one. Case in point, didn't work out. But one coordinator who didn't get a new head coaching job, but he is going to be back for the Lions, and that's Anthony Lynn, offensive coordinator for the Lions. This was kind of like a good-bad experiment. I should say maybe a bad-good experiment, because it seemed to be bad because he got fired, but honestly, we learned that Dan Campbell's not half bad at calling plays. So, boys, what do you think we do with our offensive coordinator? Do you think we go out and get, a decent name, or do you guys think that maybe we just promote Deuce Staley to offensive coordinator?
If Dan Campbell going to be calling plays again, I'm cool with Deuce Staley becoming the offensive coordinator, giving him a promotion in that way. He could still be the assistant head coach as well. But if he's going to be handing the playoff to some new dude coming in, it's a little bit more worrisome, I would say. So, I mean, I'm cool at this point in time. I'm cool with Dan Campbell continuing to call plays because he started. Wouldn't it be awkward to stop unless you think you're signing an offensive coordinator who's a genius of all, that's just about to propel our offense with so many question marks still, especially at quarterback, receiver. So I'm absolutely fine with them giving Deuce Staley that promotion at OC.
I agree. I feel like I brought this question up on Twitter one time, and someone said it's not a promotion, it's a demotion for Deuce Staley to go from assistant head coach to offensive coordinator. And I don't know if I agree with that, but I also don't know if I can argue it. Like, I'm not really sure where the ranks are. I mean, it seems like offensive coordinator obviously get hired, to go to head coach more often. But Dan Campbell was an assistant head coach. Like, I don't know. I didn't know if that was actually a promotion or a demotion. I can't remember who just said this because I was thinking about that. Whoever just said that if Dan Campbell continues to call plays, Deuce Staley being the offensive coordinator makes the most sense. Who knows what Anthony Lynn did behind the scenes? He may have helped Dan Campbell with his head coaching. You know what I mean? Like, Dan Campbell was brand new to head coaching. Anthony Lynn had been there, done that, went through turmoil, went through a rebuild year. He's been there. So he may have helped out way more than we know. It just didn't work out. And unfortunately, in the NFL, you really do have to put the blame on someone. And I think Anthony Lynn probably didn't want to stay in Detroit if he wasn't going to call plays anyways. I think he wanted to go out. He'll probably become a head coach for like a college program. What?
And honestly, like, to be honest, I remember to start when he was calling plays, I thought he did a decent job. And then we just kept losing. And that's kind of what probably was the nail in the coffin for him. And Dan Campbell took over, and then it was just kind of that. So no bad blood from Anthony Lynn. Hope he does well. Hope he gets a good gig. But some other coaches in the NFC North did get fired too, some GMs as well. The Bears, they finally fired Nagy. The Vikings got rid of their GM and Mike Zimmer. Did the Bears get rid of their GM too? I don't think they did.
Yeah,
okay,
Ryan Pace is gone.
That's right. Yeah, stealing me. Anyway, so so it's kind of clean house on the NFC North, which makes me believe that Lions have a legit shot to, I'm not going to say win the NFC North, but to be that second best team in line for the NFC North when Rodgers does leave, because it's going to happen. I mean, if they go out and win the Super Bowl this year, I wouldn't even be surprised if he called it quits this year. But even if he doesn't, they lose to the 49ers. We all expect Rodgers to come back. He'll be like 36, 37, I don't know, or he's in the late 30s. So it's going to eventually come. Devontae Adams just turned 29. We saw what happened to DeAndre Hopkins. He's finally starting to break down. Julio Jones, he's a little bit older, but we see the injury bug has finally claimed him. And finally, AJ Green, similar type guy who just couldn't sustain it and couldn't keep the injuries off him. And the age and injuries did not mesh well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with some of these new head coaches and what they do with, the Bears. They have Justin Fields, who neither the GM or the head coach didn't draft him. So that's going to be interesting to see if they mesh well, because all it takes is either of those, teams to get one coach wrong, and they're there for the next, 2-3 years, screwing up their organization, kind of like Matt Patricia did us. So any thoughts on this NFC North coaching carousel?
I think it's a great door opening. I think it is.
It's good timing.
It's almost like, I don't want to say this, but it's like, if we don't finish better than both of these teams next year, then I'm worried. Like, I understand, like, the Lions, it's not next year, it's the following year, which I don't understand. The NFL is a win now league. You go out, you could literally be a playoff contending team next year, because anyone can. Teams go from worst to first all the time, including the Cincinnati Bengals this year. Like, I'm just saying, you get two teams in your division, that's 4 games, that have new head coaches and new GMs. Our entire schedule, we have 7 games against teams that will have new head coaches. 7 games. I don't think that's ever happened before.
Yeah.
Next year is it. For Dan, for me. I'm not gonna buy in to dying and killing this next year when we play 7 new head coaches, 4 of them in our division. Go out there and win 10 games next year. You have to.
And then while we're on the topic of scheduling, the Lions also, with those 7 rookie head coaches, they'll play the Seahawks, in which they could be a wild factor, in which if they trade Russell Wilson, they are totally going to be in a rebuild mode, and I 100% expect to beat the Seahawks without Russell Wilson. So, like you said, Nick, this is kind of like the stars aligning, and I know we don't want to say it because we're all Lions fans, but who knows? It's getting good in a way we haven't really seen before. So,
hey, let me just say real quick, the Bears and the Vikings, new head coaches, new front office. Green Bay, they Super Bowl or bust. They probably lose. I feel like there's a good chance they could lose Aaron Rodgers if they don't. Say if they lose in the division or the conference playoffs, I feel like it's a chance Aaron Rodgers moves on, retires, or goes elsewhere. But the Lions are in a perfect position to pounce because this is how teams kind of break out when the other teams in their division are kind of going through transition per se. And that means they're vulnerable. Their rosters are vulnerable. Minnesota is way under the cap. Green Bay is way under the cap. They don't have money to spend. They're going to lose players. They have aging players. The Bears have the oldest roster in the league, even though they do got a young quarterback they're hopeful about. This is the perfect time for stability, the stability of the Detroit Lions to make a positive effect by winning games. Just gonna put that out.
So do you think it's fair to say, like what happens if the Lions win 4 or 5 games next year with Jared Goff, Dan Campbell running the plays, Minnesota's new head coach beats us twice, Chicago's new head coach beats us once, the other head coach, we end up going like 3-4 against new head coaches, we win 4 or 5, 6 games. Are we like, we're still rebuilding because now we're getting rid of Goff and we're getting a new quarterback, if that's the scenario?
It depends.
And now we're waiting another 2 or 3 years before that quarterback is ready to go. Does Dan Campbell survive all those years? If we win 6, 7 games for 4 years in a row while we have Jared Goff and then a new quarterback, how long is he staying? How long are we wasting our time here? Now, believe me, guys, I love Dan Campbell. Don't get me wrong. But next year is it. And I don't care about a rebuild. I don't care about if you got to wait till next year, then you better go draft a quarterback that's going to win you games this year. Don't wait until 2023. I'm not ready for that. No Lions fans should be ready for that. We have a win now roster with our offensive line, our running backs. If you add 2 receivers, which are, I don't want to say easy, but there is a plethora of wide receivers. You just have to find the right ones. And you get our defense to a somewhat cohesive top 15 defense, which we almost were this year. We weren't, but we could have been maybe if our offense was a little bit better.
Top 13 in turnovers.
Exactly. If we were off the field a little bit more, we'd have less yard. Ultimately, so is it fair to say Dan Campbell has to win 9 or more games next year, or I don't want him to be my coach anymore? If he gets 8 wins next year, I don't know if I want him as coach. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that too harsh? Am I being too strict?
8 wins. I want to see let me put it this way. I don't want to see like 8 or 9 wins come in like the second half of the season where we lose 4 games, kind of fall out of the hunt, and then we beat the Jets in week 16 to get our 6th win, and then Green Bay again in week 17 when they benched their starters. So I want to see a quick impact week 1 through 4. So
okay, Julius,
I get what you're saying, Nick.
I definitely get what you're saying. As long as we have better injury luck than we did last year, this past
definitely, yeah.
Which you can't control. No team can. And hopefully, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell continue the next installation of this plan. If they could hit year 2, we good. They building something. We're gonna be in the playoffs either this year or next, guaranteed. But they cannot stall out. They cannot lose focus of what they have to do to build. Like you said, man, we are an elite receiver if we can find one in the draft or free agency or both. If we can find a big play receiver to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown, TJ Hockenson, DeAndre Swift, that offensive line, and honestly, you want to start talking about a quarterback, I'm talking about with Jared Goff. 7-10 wins expected. I expect progress into that magnitude. So yeah.
So Jared Goff goes there and wins 8 games or 7 games. Okay. We do exactly like Adam said. We win 5. We're 5-5. We lose. We go to 5-8. We end up finishing 8-9. Okay. Do you keep Jared Goff? Like he played as good as he did at the end of the season. Some wins happen, some losses happen, but ultimately he has a fairly decent season. Are we keeping Goff? Like At this point, we have so many questions that next year, I don't want to get to that point. I don't want to get to a situation where it's like, well, crap. Is it Dan Campbell? Is it Jared Goff?
Yeah.
We need to make that decision now because I don't have faith in Goff. I just okay. I'll give them faith. I'll give everyone one more year. I was ready to X-nay Goff 100% until the end of like this last month, while Dan Campbell's calling the play. So I'll give everyone next year. But if we win less than 9 games next year, Goff is gone, Campbell's gone. I don't care.
I don't have no faith in Goff. I don't have no faith in Goff. I just have faith in Goff to play the way he played at the end of this season. I feel like it's possible he can play that way. But I don't have faith in him sustaining it. If anything goes, his perseverance. That's what I question.
We need to draft a quarterback this year, and everyone hates it. But Sam Howell has fucking moon balls. He's great. Malik Willis.
Hey, man, we're getting a great look at this Senior Bowl. So, and you will too, Nick. Speaking of that, our very own Nick is heading down to the Senior Bowl to do a little scouting report for the Honolulu Blues. So we will definitely be posting some great videos, good content, all sorts of that. Make sure you follow Nick Faber NFL, for the Reese's Senior Bowl because he posted great stuff.
Absolutely. Probably gonna jump in and end up doing a live show while I'm there at some point too. It'll be fun. Maybe right after like the practice, I'll get it with like the stadium in the background. Do a quick 10-minute segment or something, you know.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. And you guys, speaking of wide receivers, you guys talk wide receivers. I was trying to get this in, but one wide receiver we're guaranteed to get is Quintez Cephas. And he, before his collarbone injury, was looking pretty good. He flashed phenomenally in the preseason or kind of practice preseason, but more or less, we know this dude could get up. We know this guy can be maybe a red zone threat or at least, a wide receiver 3 at worst, honestly. And maybe even a wide receiver 1. He's young enough. We haven't really seen his full potential. Who knows what Dan Campbell could get out of him? We clearly saw how well Amon-Ra did. And honestly, Cliff Raymond did pretty well too. And so kind of just maybe a tip of the cap to Dan Campbell and that offense he's running. So,
and to that point, into a grander scheme, and Julius alluded to it earlier, man, we were desecrated with injuries this year. Like, we were doing this stuff with a skeleton crew. If we can hold up, man, we get just it was like at one point we had like 26 people on IR or something with like COVID included, but like it was crazy. And I think a lot of them were like maybe injuries that happened, and I don't know. If once we get everyone back, that's what I'm saying. That's bring it all the way back to what I was talking about. We have to win next year.
Ragnow, Cephas,
Decker was gone for the first half.
These guys are Ragnow, Cephas. Why am I totally drawing a blank of all the white guys we lost the season?
Decker, Okuda,
Okora. Yes, that was it too.
Jerry Jacobs got injured. Friggin' everyone got injured. Like everybody was injured. Trey Flowers.
But what I will say, speaking of injuries, we did see Jeff Okuda and Romeo Okora tear their Achilles, which is probably the toughest injury to have in sports right now. But boys, did you not get a little bit excited watching Cam Akers play the same season he tore his Achilles and look good? It was incredible. Dude put up 100 total yards, tore his Achilles like a couple weeks before preseason, but he played the same year, which is mind-boggling because 3-4 years ago, tearing your Achilles was your career's over, done. No one's going to look at you. You might get a practice squad look, but that's it. And for him to be back and just looking good, it makes me really, I shouldn't say confident, but have a lot of hope in that we could see Romeo Okora or Jeff Okuda bounce back to normal form just because of modern medicine and rehabilitation. So if we could get one of those two back to their, A+ caliber, I would absolutely take that because Achilles tears are usually the death sentence.
Very nervous for Okuda. I'm excited that it gives me hope seeing Cam Akers, but boy, oh boy, it's the same thing with Okuda as it is with the team.
CJ Uzomah, he tore his Achilles last year as well. He didn't come back as fast as Cam Akers, but he did come back that following year and just caught a touchdown pass in the playoffs.
And did the icky shuffle.
I can't speak.
This is
Has
the
been
thing,
having
though,
a good
with
season.
Achilles.
Jeez, there we go. Go ahead,
When it
Jules.
comes to the Achilles injury, yes, it's true. Modern medicine has advanced to a point where we can see these kind of Cam Akers like turnarounds, but it's also very positional based. So different positions do different things with their feet. And cornerbacks specifically probably do the most as far as rotation, as far as agility. It all goes down in those ankles and those Achilles. So we've seen a lot of times corners don't come back as strong. So I'm worried about Jeff Okudah too. But I'm right now, I'm reassured that it don't even matter. If Jeff Okudah come back next season, if he come back from
icing on the cake,
and he's just as athletic and he's even better, hey, I'm standing ovation. But if he come back and he done lost a step, he not as explosive. Still, and it's just he ends up being a bust. I mean, that's just gonna be what that's is what it is. AJ Parker, Monty Aurorier, Jerry Jacobs, Ife Malifalu, and whoever else we're gonna add in free agency and NFL draft. I'm more than confident going forward with. And I'm ready to see what they can do just with that group. I'm sure they're going to add to it. We'll see. I'm pretty sure they will. So we'll see what happens.
Adam called it out when it first happened. Move him to safety. Get him to safety. That'll be best for him. It'll be best for our team too.
Not a bad idea, Nick.
Or even maybe like a nickelback type cornerback or some type of hybrid where he's not kind of staying in the middle field, not having to chase guys,
What Will Harris is right now, he is our strong safety / nickelback hybrid. And he did a half decent job at it, the back half of the season especially. But yeah, maybe Jeff Okudah could take over something like that and excel even better than Will Harris, because Will Harris still make plays that make me be like, damn, he should be on a practice squad. But he, I feel like maybe that's a great idea to move him to safety. But we'll see what happens. We'll see. It's a luxury. I feel like it's a luxury at this point for Lions fans.
Which is, it's such a weird thing to say, because right when this injury happened and like after the Lions started losing a few games, oh my gosh, it was.
It could have been horrible. What if we didn't see Jerry Jacobs and AJ Parker play the way they did, especially Jacobs? What if we didn't see Amani Aurorier damn near lead the league in NFC interceptions, or his third, I believe? What if we didn't see the progression from Ife Malifalu? What if we didn't see those things? What if we saw negative things with a lot of these players? Then it would have been a more like, yeah, we really need Okudah to bounce back. But hey, it's not like that.
No, Aaron Glenn's not Matt Patricia.
Yeah, 100%. But let's move on. Let's do a quick little recap of this Green Bay game since we didn't really touch on it much. Lions snapped a 5-game losing streak to Green Bay. And although a lot of, Lions fans and even Packers fans go, oh, well, they pulled Rodgers and Adams and they had the backups in the second half. Well, we've had our backups in the entire season. So what this told me is on an even playing field, which it almost kind of was, with Packers second stringers-ish and Lions first stringers with some injuries, mix that together and you kind of have an even platform. And Dan Campbell outcoached Matt Fleur that second half. He smoked him on trick plays. He smoked him on fake punts. He did everything right. And although it seemed like Jordan Love was going to get the final touchdown to win, it's not like that Green Bay defense was saying, all right, we're going to let the Lions have this one. We'll just let them score. No, they were trying, man. It's not like they were just giving it to us. And even though the win didn't mean anything to them, it's still a divisional rival, and you don't want to, give the Lions any type of, momentum, or at least I would want to if I was a Packers fan. So real quick, what are you guys thinking of this game? And is Amon-Ra, was that the final, like, oh my God, this dude is a superstar? This wasn't just a couple flashy games like we saw with Titus Young, even though Titus Young had some mental issues, but was this the final check mark, or had you guys already seen it?
I'd like before the Packers pulled their starters, Lions were winning still. It didn't matter. Didn't matter. We were winning that game no matter what. They could have left Rodgers in that whole game, and we still got a backup skeleton third string crew. I mean, we got freaking minor leaguers playing from Canadian football starting for our team, and we're still putting the rundown on them. We're going to be strong next year. We're going to take down the Packers in both games. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, the sun god. Oh my gosh, dude. He was on that verge. We were talking about him weekly. Oh, he's another way. But it's like, if he would have caught like one catch for 15 yards, you'd be like, oh, well, Amon-Ra. That dude finished the season, last 6 games or something like that? 6 games with 8 receptions and 80 yards or something like that. Just phenomenal. Broke out again against Green Bay. But the thing is, he set expectations so high. If Amon-Ra St. Brown doesn't catch 8 passes every single game next year, I'll be sad. Because that's the expectations he has set. I need 8 catches from Amon-Ra, and we win. We're like what? We're like 3-1, or we're like, I don't know.
We got 3 and 3 in the last 6 games, and that was when he popped off. So I'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Man, he looks really good, and it makes you really happy about this draft class. And honestly, the craziest thing is, I guarantee week 1, all of us were thinking Penei Sewell was by far the best pick of the draft. Honestly, now, if I go based off of value, I think Amon-Ra right now is better. Not saying Sewell could be on the Lions for the next 10 years and be a generational talent, as if, Amon-Ra lasts for 4 years and then goes and gets a big old contract somewhere else, then maybe it will flip to Sewell. But as of right now, I think Amon-Ra's our best draft pick. Julius?
I'm not ready to say that. I kind of got Penei slightly higher still, because my expectations of Penei Sewell is like all, like Lions icon. I want this man to be on our team for a decade, and I want him to have a great career and an all-pro career. And I believe a little more in him than I do in Amon-Ra. But besides that, that don't mean I don't believe in Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra St. Brown, you're right. We got the best value for him. Like he should have been drafted in top 15. If you look at the numbers, he probably should have been the first receiver off the board, other than Jamar Chase over in Cincinnati. It's amazing that Brad Holmes got him where he got him, and that he fell to where he fell. It's just a testament to Holmes, to be honest, and the rest of the team, the rest of the draft team, that they got, even Dan Campbell, for that they agree on these types of players. And you hope that the 2D tackles, McNeil and Orzaruki, comes around, because you don't want to forget about them, because they are important, because we still not as strong as we want to be defensively in the trenches, in the middle, but there is hope with those guys. But they got drafted before Amon-Ra. You know what I'm saying? So just to have Amon-Ra St. Brown right now, there's some comparisons, and I've watched the tape, and I even looked at the college scouting reports of what he did was similar in analytic wise to a young Antonio Brown. Now, besides the person Antonio Brown tossing his jersey off and being an idiot all the time, hey, a young Antonio Brown was electric. And you see it with Amon-Ra. That's why we line him up at running back. We haven't gone in motion so often. And man, Dan Campbell, and he's just going to get better with it too. He's going to get better with it. And if we can add a big weapon, that because Amon-Ra is going to start soaking up attention. So we need Hockenson and another receiver. I don't think it'd be Cephas or Reynolds per se. I think we need somebody else, somebody big play, to help turn this offense to give us some semblance of passing attack that can win games.
Yeah, 100%. And honestly, we were all kind of talking about Brad Holmes, he drafted Cooper Kupp in that 3rd round, and he's got an eye. And I even saw this. I forget who tweeted it, but I mentioned on one of our podcasts at beginning of the season, Brad Holmes saw Cooper Kupp, he watched him during his pro day, and whatever his like metrics or like calculations were, showed up that he was better than what his combine results posted. So his combine results made him slide down to the 3rd round. And Brad Holmes knew this dude was a 1st-round talent and got him in the 3rd round. So honestly, I think he did it again with Amon-Ra. He knew. I mean, it's hard to say that Amon-Ra, doesn't have the combine or like genetics to play well, but obviously some GMs saw something they didn't like in past, because we stole that man.
Whew. Yeah, I mean, if like we got done with the draft, right, and we would have drafted Amon-Ra St. Brown with the 8th pick overall, or 7th pick, wherever we had 7th pick, and the year ended, and we looked back and we looked at Jamar Chase and Jalen Waddle and Devonta Smith and Amon-Ra St. Brown, we would be like, all right, we have like one of the top 3 wide receivers drafted in the 1st round, along with Waddle and Jamar Chase, and Smith kind of seems to be that 4th guy. That's just because he's got a bad quarterback. That's a shot at Adam. If you look at like Amon-Ra St. Brown's stats and where we drafted him, Adam's 100% right. The value was impeccable. Like this was one of the along with like the 3rd round pick for the Kansas City Chiefs, Creed Humphrey, center, who's like one of the best PFF graded offensive lineman of the year, is a huge reason why the Chiefs like have gotten back into like who they are. I feel it's an amazing pick, but we got Sewell and we got Amon-Ra St. Brown, so life is good in Detroit.
And then we got also, McNeil and Onwuzurike, who, have shown flashes. And even if both of those guys were, flaming busts, this is still a huge successful draft. So,
but think of how much better those guys will be when we have both of our starting edge rushers. We didn't have, they were both gone by the first 2 weeks.
And they're not flaming busts. Like, it ain't like they were some of the worst rookies in the league, like Jeff Okudah.
They both had sacks. At least McNeil might have 2.
Yeah. The trifecta of Onwuzurike and McNeil, Barnes at linebacker, and Ife Melifonwu at corner, those rookies, even Jerry Jacobs, AJ Parker, you could throw them in there. That rookie class of back end picks, along with Amon-Ra and Penei Sewell together, I feel like I give the Lions draft an A. None of those defensive players I just mentioned.
Hey, we'll get to drafts next week. Hey, what a little teaser.
You're right, Nick. I'm sorry. Throw a flag. That's 15-yard penalty. Yeah, we'll get the grades next week. But hey,
it makes me sad that you list all these rookies and who's left off? Derrick Barnes.
I said Derrick Barnes.
Oh, I didn't even. Well, but he hasn't done anything. He shouldn't have been included.
I'm just saying though, he's not a flaming bust.
Wow.
So that's a good thing. But
you say so.
That was a great. There you go. Great preview for next week for the draft. Exactly. But we got way more grades to get to.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, next week, grade week. If you guys didn't get the heads up, but
school week as we call it.
Yeah, real quick to just finally recap this Green Bay game. The Lions. Dan Campbell improved to 2-0 over teams over 500, which is absolutely incredible. It just shows he can win, I should say big games. And I will say these games should be taken with a small grain of salt, because we saw what the Cardinals did, and they kind of just, I don't know if the Lions were the team that, set them off the tracks, or if they were already kind of starting to spiral out of control and the Lions just were the first team to take advantage of it, or what. But nonetheless, it's still a good stat, good, motivator for Campbell to think like, you know what? We're playing the Packers this week. We beat them last year. We're going to beat them first time this year. So at least it could be looked at as that.
Last time the Detroit Lions won more than one game against the team that was 5 games above 500 at the time we played them was 1991. Last time we won a playoff game, Wayne Fontes was coach. We won, I believe, 3 or 4 that year. This is 30 years. And then when you play teams 5 games above 500 and you're the Lions fan, you could chalk it up as an L any single time we did it for the last 30 years. It was guaranteed almost. It happened like once or twice with like Mooch in 2003 and then Bobby Ross in like 98. Like you could just chalk it up as an L. So great. I think it's just great. Like you said, I had a motivation, like, and like belief for Lions fans. It's like no one is, we're not counting ourselves out of anywhere, I guess I'll say.
Yeah, 100%. And finally, I got to ask you guys, were you on team, we want pick number 1, or did you want to get this win no matter what?
I was on win. I wanted number 1. I ain't gonna lie.
Ooh.
I mean, I just like to have the number 1 pick. I want the Lions to have all choosing powers. But it's okay. I wasn't devastated that they played the way they played and got the number 2 pick. And so it didn't matter to me. I was one of those fans that it didn't matter. If they would have lost, I would have not cared, been happy about the number 1. If they would have won, which they did, I would not care, be happy about the number 1. I mean, the number 2, I'm sorry. So, I mean, I'm cool with where we at. Our draft position is excellent. No complaints.
It surprised me that you say that, Julius, to be honest.
Because if we would have beat the Baltimore Ravens and got this number 6 pick, we would have been real sad.
I probably would have been rooting for a loss if we would have beat the Ravens, but we didn't beat the Ravens, and I was rooting for the win. I've said it multiple times. I don't want Aiden Hutchinson. I want Kayvon Thibodeau, and I think we would have got first. We would have got Hutchinson, but he goes 1. We'll get Thibs at 2. Exactly how I drew it up.
It was kind of weird how the Jaguars won this game. They weren't expected to win, and all of a sudden it was like, the Lions could win this game too. Now, do we want this win over Green Bay, or do we want the 101? And honestly, what it came down to is we were in a win-win position. If we lost the game, we got the 101, awesome. If we beat the Packers, we beat the Packers, awesome. So either way, I'll take the dub. But Nick, like you mentioned, had that football bounced the opposite way, Lions would be picking 6. And that's kind of a big difference from 2 to 6. So yet again, another year of Lions having a little positive hindsight, I should say, in which last year we saw Swift drop the game-winning pass against the Bears. It led to Penei Sewell. And now this year, the Justin Tucker kick, the Greg Joseph kick, how many kicks do you want? There's a bunch of different outcomes that if one of them just went the Lions' way, we definitely would not be picking at 2, and who knows what could happen. So to move on, Lions, a little recap of the season. Boys, let me get, who was your MVP of the season? One guy that balled out all season, or maybe even, 9 weeks because he got hurt or something. Who was that one guy that you are, I guess, who's the MVP?
I think there's a lot of good mentions, to be all honest. We got guys who outperformed where they should have been. I don't think the answer is really anyone that we would have projected at the beginning of the year. Not Hawkinson, probably not Goff to you guys. Maybe not. Like, I don't think probably Swift. Like, we had a lot of injuries. To be all honest, I think the guy who stood toe to toe and made us just as extremely excited as possible. And Amon St. Brown's a great honorable mention. I'm going Penei Sewell, the rookie, 7th pick overall. The kid started from day 1, just just doing things that we were so excited at left tackle, moved to right tackle, continued to slay. Just really awesome. I'm so excited for his future. And again, we had a lot of good players. I think Jerry Jacobs is a good honorable mention, but Sewell for me.
I like that one. I think Sewell definitely deserves it, especially when you go head-to-head with Aaron Donald and you're not backing down. So
that's right.
Anytime a guy does that, he is definitely worthy of being an MVP on your team. For me, though, I'm going to go with the people's man, and that's Jerry Jacobs. This dude came into the Lions limelight, and you could tell he was just a guy that, has been playing on not high-profile teams his whole life. And finally made the NFL, finally got his shot, and is balling with it. He's getting the love he deserves. He's embracing it back with the fans, doing jersey giveaways, following people back, us included. Shout out Jerry Jacobs in case you're watching. But he's just been an awesome dude for the chemistry, for the team, for the Lions, the fans, everyone. So Jerry Jacobs, I think he's going to be my MVP because we needed a guy, at least in the secondary, to step up big time when he wasn't supposed to. And by what I mean by wasn't supposed to is we kind of knew Amani was a solid corner and he could, hang with some good guys, even though he did play better than expected. But I think Jerry Jacobs was that guy that was the MVP for Lions.
I like both of y'all picks. Panay Sewell, I think, is an excellent selection because he did everything we wanted him to do to be the cornerstone of our franchise in the Dan Campbell regime, which is who he was drafted to be. He was the first, rock for the building of what it is, and he did exactly what we needed. That's an excellent choice. I also think Jerry Jacobs is an excellent choice, somebody who came from absolute thin air and could be a pretty impactful starter in the league moving forward for us. But personally, I'm going to go in a slightly different direction, and I'm going to give the MVP of the team to Dan Campbell because as I look back at this team and I start to reflect as time goes away from the season, I can kind of sit down, breathe. I go and watch some highlights, look at how the season transpired. It seems to me like it was an excellent coaching job. Everything that was supposed to happen pretty much happened, even though the way things happened in the beginning of the season discouraged us. The losing the way we were at times, and then we had a couple blowouts in there, and the team was just getting fractured by injuries. But the outcome of the season couldn't have been better in spite of all of that. And so I'm going to give Dan Campbell all credit as it comes to that. And the reason that we're so optimistic and we have expectations moving into next year, my MVP is Dan Campbell.
I like that. Definitely respectable. He definitely turned the team around, I guess, in a way. And, he wasn't – it was a complete change from what we had with Matt Patricia last year. It was just finally nice to see a head coach take accountability, actually say what happened in the game, and not just let's move on to next week. We're focused on next week, even though we just got our butts kicked and someone needs to talk about it. So, yeah, great pick, Julius.
Also, shout out to, I could be wrong, but I'm just 100. I think I'm 100% right. Shout out Adam's mom, Mary Stark, MVP of the Honolulu Blues show, because we see her hey guys every episode, and we love to see anyone and everyone listening.
Shout out Adam's mom.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks, Mom, for always joining in, for all the support. And so I will say the Lions, we are going to be getting a few guys back next year, more than a few. But here's the guys that just had the season-ending injuries. It was Jeff Okuda, Romeo Cora, Quintez Cephas, and Frank Ragnow. And there were a couple guys that had season-ending injuries, but it came in week 14, 15, 16 when it didn't really matter a whole lot. So how much of an impact do these four guys have? And do you guys think they're enough to get us at least one more win off a team?
I think they make a huge impact. I think the whole community, everyone that was in Hawkinson towards the end, Swift towards the end, even though he came back at the very end, Decker for the beginning, like all these guys, just once we get them all in one group with the new additions that we have this year, hopefully we keep Anzalone. I think that we have to win the contention this year. We have to win 10 games. I've said it time and time again. I'm going to say it all off season. We have to win 10 games this year. I don't want any excuses. I don't want any excuses.
I like it.
I like it as well. And honestly, those guys that's coming back, those are four starters, to be honest. So it's interesting to see how this is going to meld. And one more thing I didn't mention about Dan Campbell. When we started off 11-1, whatever we were before we won in the back half of the season when we went on our little run, we didn't really see it at that point. But when he took over play calling duties is when we started winning. Is when our offense improved on multiple aspects, even dealing with all those injuries. So that's another thing to throw in with Dan Campbell as far as MVP and being hopeful about next season. And I just hope their personnel game is smooth. This is what I'm hoping. It seems it is. It seems like it is. Seems like Brad Holmes knows what he's doing.
Yeah, 100%. It really does seem like both, not just your head coach, but your GM are competent and know that they have a plan. So it's always good to see, because Bob Quinn, we did buy in at first, I feel, or at least I did. And then after year one, it was kind of like, I don't know so much anymore. Well, at least he's getting this guy, Matt Patricia. And Little did we know. But final question for you guys is, the whole season, was this better, worse, or just how you guys thought the season would go?
I'm pretty sure I said all offseason we were winning 3 games. That was all we were going to win. How many did we finish with?
Two.
2.5?
2-1. Close enough. Pretty much exactly as we said. Under the 4.5 that Vegas said.
No, we were 3-1.
3?
Yeah, Packers, Cardinals, Vikings, and tied the Pittsburgh.
Just over what I predicted. So I would say I was right on the money.
I picked them to go 5-12 the whole season, way before the season. As the season wore on, I hoped they would finish 5-12, but they got 3.5, which is pretty close. So you could say same/worse.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think more or less, I don't think it was worse. And although it did seem like it was going to be worse, it did a nice old 180 towards the end, in which we won 3 of our last 6 games. So always nice when you kind of end. And Nick, we talked about this a lot on how I was the guy that's always been, no, I want us to win the last couple games, rile into the next season looking good. And you're the one that's saying, no, I want the top pick. I want these are only going to hurt our draft stock. Well, now we're getting best of both worlds. How about that?
It's very true. And I'm definitely flipping the script. Like, you're 100% right. This season, most of the times I'll stick by what I say, but this season, those wins were very important.
Especially with a new coach, just a coach that's like Dan Campbell, and
especially too, like, I feel like most of the time we do win 3 or 4 games at the end. It's against teams like the Jets, the Jags, and the Raiders. But we were beating teams like the Packers and we were beating teams that we beat the best team in the NFC twice in the last 4 weeks of the season. Like, that's unheard of. So those are huge wins.
Yeah, definitely. And finally, before we wrap this show up, we have to talk about it, boys. Matthew Stafford finally got his first playoff win last night, and he did it in a solid fashion. He looks pretty good. He didn't have any interceptions, although, the game was pretty easy peasy for him. Kyler Murray didn't make it a whole hard for him. So, boys, do you think that Stafford gets another playoff win? Do you think this is it? What are some of your quick thoughts on our old friend Matthew Stafford?
He already beat. Oh, sorry, Julius. Go ahead, bud.
I think it's possible he gets another playoff win against Tampa, just because Tampa is not the same Tampa that was fully loaded and fully stocked last year's playoff run. This is a little more shell of itself. Now, they do still got the GOAT at quarterback, but, and Rams got some things you can mess with to try to win that, other teams haven't been able to pursue, but it's possible. Congratulations to Matthew Stafford. I'm kind of salty, just a little bit, but not really. I'm happy for him. Now, if he doesn't beat Tampa, the Stafford haters are just going to hate on him. I'm not going to hate on him either way. I mean, if he beats Tampa, congratulations, Matthew. I knew Stafford was good. I knew he had an arm. I knew all these things. Now, do I know he's this elite future Hall of Fame quarterback, which is what he's going to be if he goes on a Super Bowl run with the Rams? I'm still not sure. We shall see. But congratulations, Matthew Stafford. Very
much so. Well-deserved, long-earned, long-awaited. I'm extremely salty about it. I'm a spiteful person, and if you're not going to do it with my team, then don't do it at all. It took you 12 years to realize you couldn't do it. The coaching sucked, this, that, whatever. Dude, how are you going to spend 13 years or 12 years with my team, lose 3 playoff games, you go to a new team and win the division and a playoff game in your first year? I'm sorry, dude. Like, I like him. Good for him. Good for his family. Good for the monkey on his back. I do not want to see him win a Super Bowl outside of Detroit. I do not want Detroit to be on the wrong side of this trade. I do think he beats Tampa Bay. He already beat him once this year. I think the defense that he has is impeccable. That they beat them before they even had Von Miller. It's going to be gross. I do think we have some of the best football games this weekend in Kansas City versus Buffalo, Tampa Bay versus the Rams, San Fran versus Green Bay. and like Cincinnati versus Tennessee, which who cares about that? But the other 3 games are crazy good. This is gonna be the best week of football I may have ever watched. I'm so super excited, but I'm definitely rooting Tom Brady over Matthew Stafford. Sorry.
Yeah, I know it's a weird thing, and for me, I like once this trade happened, I almost already accepted that he got a playoff win. So like I was just it was a weird feeling when he won because I was like, yep, that sucks. But part of me was like, well, dude, you knew it was coming. Like, come on, this doesn't hurt that much. So I will say, yeah, I was rooting for the Cardinals. I was really hoping our boy Matt Prater could come out there and kick a game-winning field goal or something. I don't even think he did have 1 field goal, but they didn't even let him kick the extra point. But outside of Stafford, and that team is pretty good, and they have what it takes to get the Super Bowl. And I agree with both of you guys. It would just be right now we have like a little like butter knife jabbing into us right now. Well, that butter knife could turn into a big old steak knife if the Rams beat the Bucks, and that steak knife will turn to a big old shank if the Rams go on to win the Super Bowl for Lions fans. So it could be a tough pill to swallow, and of course, we don't want our draft pick to fall, all the way down to 32. That would suck. And I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, when it gets to the late, 20 to 30, it doesn't really matter." But honestly, with a GM like Brad Holmes, I would bet it does matter. He's the type of guy that would be able to make the right pick. So it does suck that Stafford did it without us. But Nick, I got a question for you. 10 years later down the line, you stumble in, you find yourself in LA or wherever at a bar. Matthew Stafford's 10 chairs down, drinking a beer just by himself. Beer finishes. Are you buying him another beer, talking to him? Or are you saying just, I can't look at you?
Oh, man. I would most definitely do everything I could to converse with them, buy him beer, and just talk about him. But to be all honest, our conversation, I would not shy away from telling him how upset I was about him not winning in Detroit and going to LA and winning. And I'd joke about it, and I'd be like, congrats for sure, but dude, come on, I would not shy away from it, and if that meant he would walk away from me, so be it. But I'm not gonna just be like, oh, you're awesome. Like, be like, Staffy, dude, come on, what are we doing? So, what about you?
I mean, I buy him a beer. I say, "What's up, man?" Thanks for the comebacks.
It's about all.
So if he won on a Super Bowl, if he won a Super Bowl with the Rams on a run this season, I'll be like you said, Nick. He'll see it in my face that I let him know how uncomfortable I am about that fact. As a Lions fan, I feel like a Super Bowl run for Matthew Stafford could fracture our relationship with him.
It might
honestly just lose the Tampa, bro.
Dude, I cannot witness Stafford win a Super Bowl. I cannot witness it.
Now if Stafford wins the Super Bowl and he gets inducted into the Hall of Fame and goes in as a Ram, and I'm sitting at that bar, I don't think I'd buy him a beer. Nah, I probably still would, just because.
I would try to have a drink with him, but maybe not buy him one,
Like,
However, I would also be like, bro, you don't deserve to be in the Lions Ring of Honor. You did nothing for us. So
True that. And finally, boys, let's get a quick Super Bowl prediction between all these teams. There's some good ones. It's going to be, like you said, Nick, a phenomenal weekend. Real quick for me, I have a weird gut feeling that the Bengals, man, they're going to come out firing. They're a team of destiny, dark horse team. They beat the Chiefs earlier this year. They could show they can hang with the big boys. So I'm going to go the Bengals beat the Titans, in which it would be an upset, but I don't think it would be a huge upset, in which I'm just not 100% sold on the Titans. I don't know if it's, Derrick Henry coming back in and out and that whole situation or what, but I'm more confident in the Chiefs and Bills, and one of them will get knocked out. So the Bengals, I'm liking them to make the Super Bowl, maybe win it, but I think they'll face the Bucks. A classic BB Super Bowl. Nick?
Oh,
Give me some. Who wants to go next?
I'll rip it. Josh Allen beats Mahomes. Josh Allen gets to the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers beats the Niners. Brady beats the Rams. Rodgers beats Brady. Josh Allen beats Aaron Rodgers in the Super Bowl. The Buffalo Bills hoist the Lombardi Trophy. This is a beer, but
and actually, real quick, Julius, before you hop in, speaking of the Bengals and Bills, it's pretty cool to see what they've been doing. The Bengals hadn't had a longer playoff win drought than us. Now the Detroit Lions hold that drought. Thank you, Bengals. But we saw the Browns get a playoff win. We saw the Bills make a conference championship game. So honestly, this curse could be broken fast. And Nick, that meme you posted, I was laughing so hard when it's the SpongeBob guy and he's like, "Hey, I just got my first playoff win." And then SpongeBob's like, "I'm in line. I'm going to get mine next." And he goes, "Hey, I doubt it." And I can clearly hear that line in my head.
Absolutely. That one is great. Also, real quick, Julius, I know you're just itching. I'm salty about all these teams getting their first playoff wins. Also, just like Stafford, I do not like being the worst at something. The Lions now hold the longest streak without a playoff win. It's embarrassing. I hate it. I hate the Bengals for it.
Julius, who's winning the Super Bowl?
So I got Tampa beating the Rams, and I got Tampa Green Bay in the NFC Championship, and I honestly believe that Green Bay is going to choke again in the NFC Championship at Lambeau to Brady in the snow, and I believe it's going to be Brady versus Mahomes in the Super Bowl again against each other, another classic. And I got the Chiefs winning it all at this point.
Ooh.
So 3 different teams, the Bengals, the Chiefs, and the Bills, all AFC teams. No one believes in the NFC, which can almost guarantee Stafford's winning it all.
Stop it.
I refuse to pick Stafford or Rodgers to win it. And the Niners, honestly, the Niners are a dark horse. I feel like the Niners got a chance to.
Oh, boy.
Jimmy's just mad. Jimmy will throw that game away at the end.
Boys, how gross would it be if the Packers win and then the Rams win and we have to
Niners
pick between Rodgers or Stafford to go to the Super
Bowl? Though it would be a sweet showdown of Rodgers and Stafford. As salty as I would be to see Stafford there, I would be rooting for Stafford over Rodgers. About the only quarterback I'll root for Stafford over.
Yeah.
No, I don't want neither of them. I need the Niners to upset Green Bay at Lambeau, and I need Brady to take care of Stafford so I can go on with my life.
Ooh, a good Garoppolo versus Brady battle. That would be so much fun. That's a great storyline. Let's get that.
I'm down for that.
We're like 10 minutes past now.
Yeah, boys, and I think that does it for our show. As always, you can check us out, Honolulu Blues _ on Twitter. Check me out at EverydayFFB and check out Julie's at the Fifth Top. We are coming to Spotify, Apple, all that good stuff. I think maybe is it this week or next week, Julius?
This week.
Oh, this week, ladies and gents. So Spotify folks, iTunes folks, friends of ours, prepare to get some links because we're going to be sending them and you're going to be listening because we got good stuff. Once again, guys, thanks everyone for listening. You guys got any final quotes, comments? We got next week, grade show.
Great show.
Next week.
Bring your schoolgirl
outfits. Lions anymore. It's the off season. So we'll have to think of a new type of not go Lions because, go Lions off season.
Yeah, go Lions.
Go baby. Lions works.
Go Lions. Fair enough.
Forward down the field.
Yeah, it was great to hear a little forward down the field at that Packers game.
Terrible song. Switch the song out.
All right, folks. We outie. Thanks again for joining.
Take care.
Go Lions.
Go Lions.
Go Lions.